Okay, would you mind introducing yourself for those who do not know who you are?
Sure. I'm Laz. Lazarus Telraven is my, I guess, full length name. It's a terrible, terrible name. Everyone just calls me Laz. On Twitch, I go by LAZTEL. I am the lead, one of the lead FCs for the Imperium, and I am one of the directors for AMOT Corporation and Goonsville Federation.
Okay, and if I can get one of my mods to shout out LAZTEL, please. He is also a Twitch streamer who also streams Eve. Much more knowledgeable than I am on the subject, so I do highly advise checking out his stream. Okay, Laz, would you mind telling me what started this huge battle for me?
This fight, we formed big for this fight, just try and save the system for our previous allies, CO2.
Okay.
So we wanted to put as much effort in as possible and get as big numbers as possible for this fight, since it is the infrastructure hub and the station that was coming out of reinforced for the system itself.
So my understanding is this is kind of the first line of defense leading into Imperium space, right? Like this hub.
It is actually part. It was part of the Imperium space. Like CO2 was part of the Imperium. Bastion and Juan, who were living in Vale, were part of the Imperium. And over the weekend, we made the decision to pull Bastion and Juan back out of Vale and into Saranen, so we can have bigger and larger fleets from Saranen. And we were going to put everything to help defend Tribute whenever the push came, which the first day of the push was today.
So a lot of people, and this is from other perspectives, so do forgive me if I'm coming off as ignorant, but a lot of people have told me that it looked like the Imperium really did not come in and support CO2 today. Is that true from your perspective?
Oh, no. We had I think close to 1,300 people in the fight. And 1,300 is actually quite a lot, especially with the current state of Eve and the like. We've had some people leave recently, and it's 1,300 is a lot. But with the number of people and organizations against us, we were fighting against, I think, 3,000 was the number.
Mm-hmm. So it was 1,300 against 3,000 today. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is your opinion on CO2 leaving? Like, what is your personal, non-professional opinion?
A personal feeling, I mean, it's kind of shitty. I mean, it's actually really shitty because one of the things about the goons and Imperium is people are typically in there and helping everyone out, and no matter what alliance you're, it's kind of, people don't really relate to themselves as an alliance, but rather as the coalition as a whole. So and the one thing, the big things about CO2 is they've always been a lot about themselves, like their leadership has, and it's not too surprising to see them pull something like this. It cuts pretty deep though. Like it cuts pretty deep.
Have you read their Reddit post?
Yeah, I've read it.
Okay, so what is your opinion on them saying that the Imperium has kind of left them out to dry basically and never really done anything for them? Is that true from your perspective or completely false?
It's completely false. We've done a ton for CO2. Back when CO2 first joined the Imperium, they were only getting like 40 man fleets when they were bringing it into the EG SIG. So they would come in 30, 40 logistics ships. And if you look at today, they had like what 300 people. I mean, we've because of the Imperium, they have grown to a huge size compared to what they were before.
Okay. So, in your opinion, do you think this battle is going to continue over the next week, or do you think it's done at this point?
This battle? I mean, Tribute's most likely done, which means the Imperium has to start getting ready for the push into Pureblind and up into Declan.
Okay, and so Imperium is going to be pushing for another thing to go to. Can you explain exactly what Imperium is going to be pushing for in very simple kindergartner terms for me, for everybody who's new here and does not quite understand what's going on?
Right now, all the Imperium can do is kind of consolidate their forces into a single staging system and start to hopefully slow down the advance, because the opposing force has a ton of momentum right now. Like, they have so much momentum, and momentum in Eve is something that is one of the biggest force drivers there is. And unless we can give them some losses and maybe stagnate them a little bit, this is going to be a very, very quick war.
So, okay, so do you think the Imperium is going to turn out on top or not?
At this point, I don't think so. Like, we're going to give it a good shot. Like, I will fight to the very last system. But if we lose, we lose. I mean, I was here late for the fight. I was at 5 p.m. I think is when I got home from work. I formed a hurricane fleet and came over and tried to help hacking nodes. And then at the end, after CO2 turned, we were stuck in their station. So we undocked, and my 100 hurricanes brawled 1,200 people.
So I'm gonna open it up. If anybody in chat has any questions for Laz, go ahead and post them, and I'm gonna pick some of them out. So somebody said the Imperium is defending their home. How long has this been the Imperium's home?
I don't know actually. I mean, it's probably what, 3 or 4 years now. I mean, it's been a long time.
And there was a great war that led to that, right? Like there was I think the biggest battle in online gaming history led to that, right?
I mean, we've been around like since the Northern Coalition fell, which is the previous major coalition in the game, and then once they fell, we kind of gained some of our allies from them, and since then we've conquered most of the regions in the game. I think we've gone north, south, like we've gone all over the place, and we've held the territory. And before this war started, we were the undisputed superpower in the game, and right now we're we're getting our asses kicked, like just plainly, we're just getting completely raked over the coals.
What do you think could be done to salvage this situation?
Salvage situation? I mean, right now it's just a numbers game. Right now we're playing it. Go ahead.
Well, do you think that there will be a big super capital fight in the next couple days?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay.
No, the right now what the hostiles have is they have more super capital numbers than we can hope to match. You're looking at Pandemic Legion, who by themselves could probably put 100 Titans on the field, and with Pandemic Legion, their new allies CO2, which have a pretty big super capital force, and Northern Coalition, not all the LAZTEL guys, they probably have at least doubled the amount of supers and Titans that the Imperium can currently put on the field.
So Pandemic Legion was described to me earlier as the elite to the place that people go to retire, and all roads lead to Pandemic Legion. Can you elaborate on this?
Say again?
So it was put to me earlier that the Pandemic Legion, for those of us who don't know, are like the most elite of all of the players. It's where like elite players kind of go to retire. Another term for it is all roads lead to Pandemic Legion. Can you elaborate on this? Do you agree with this?
Pandemic Legion is a fun group of people. I have a ton of friends in Pandemic Legion, but the reason that I'm not in Pandemic Legion personally is because they have a talent vacuum. They pull in a ton of people, and then those people end up not ever doing anything ever again. But whereas right now I can FC, I can do whatever I want, and if I was in Pandemic Legion, I wouldn't have that same motivation because there's just so many other FCs and people in that group.
Okay, and so do you think the Imperium is good for the game?
I think there's always going to be an Imperium-style coalition in the game. There's always going to be some sort of group that masses together and that everyone's going to try and fight. It's the way the game has been for the past, 13 years. There was Anzac and Bob, there was Northern Coalition, there was Dust to Dust, then there was the Imperium.
So what is your opinion on the new sovereignty, I can't pronounce that word, system now that the big war seems to have started?
The new sovereign system, I don't like it. Like, honestly, just before the war even started, everything was stagnating, and I don't even think the new sovereignty system is what brought about this war at all.
Can you describe what the new sovereignty system is for those of the people who just tuning in?
Yeah. So the old sovereignty system was Dominion Sov, and it was all the objectives that were centered around stations, infrastructure hubs, and you have to reinforce them by dropping sovereignty blockade units. It has shifted from being where all your objectives were centered in a single system to where when a system comes out or reinforced, the objectives are spread out through the entire constellation. What these are called are the command nodes, and now you have to use Entosis links to be able to capture nodes. And before, all you had to do was rep the structure, and you'd have to focus on holding a single grid or a single objective. And now you're having to spread out across multiple systems. Okay,
give me one moment. Thank you, Brain Cage, for that host. I really do appreciate that. Hello, Brain Raiders. We're doing interviews right now with LAZTEL, who's a Lazarus Telraven. He's a fleet commander for Imperium, and we are getting his perspective on the battle that just went down in Eve, if you are just tuning in. I know a lot of you are saying that I'm asking ignorant questions. You have to understand that I'm 2 weeks into the game. I'm trying to get a perspective for people who are new to the game and asking questions that are maybe a little more stupid to you, but really just trying to educate everybody who has no idea what's going on. I know we have a lot of viewers who have no idea about the politics and drama and the way that Eve works. So I'm really trying to get a good perspective and asking the questions that I think will lead to answering that. So do forgive me. Okay, so Today, CO2 left for just to wrap, to explain to people who are just tuning in. So CO2 left in the middle of a big battle, and they left the Imperium, which everybody else was attacking the Imperium to try to take over some of their space. And right now, you're thinking that the Imperium is going to lose in this battle as a fleet commander for Imperium.
It's definitely a possibility, and it's definitely a high probability that'll happen.
Okay.
It's like I said, we'll fight for it, but I can't say yes or no. But I do think it has a high probability.
If the Fortress Declan falls, what happens next for the Imperium?
If Declan falls, I mean, right now we can just move to low sec, and then we can just give up Vazisov and just figure out what we're going to do next. Maybe track down CO2 and follow them around for a little bit, get a little revenge for the backstabbing today. But other than that, I'm not sure.
So you do think revenge is on the table?
Always, it's Eve.
Okay, so how is Matani and how are the goons feeling about this betrayal? I know you've said personally that you felt it was shitty, but how are you thinking that everybody else is feeling about this? Do you think they agree with you?
Well, I mean, you had people actually take time off work and try to get here for this fight just to help out our allies, the CO2. So I mean, how would you feel if you spent the last 8 hours of a day fighting and prepping for a fight, and then just as it's ending, the people that you're helping are like, oh, by the way, we're done now.
Exactly. That would feel terrible.
I mean, we lost, I think, 150 billion ISK in the fight, which is not a small amount, but it doesn't hurt us too much, but it is definitely a significant amount, especially with the war going on.
And so it's just a really shitty thing for them to have done from your perspective. So what's really interesting to me is that I've interviewed people who are neutral, I've interviewed people who have gone against you guys today, and you're the first person from the Imperium that I've interviewed. Is there anything from your perspective that you feel needs to be educated to people or given out or has not been clarified?
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't know what to start or where to start. If people have questions, they can always hit me up on Twitter or they can message me. Right. If people have questions, they've either already asked them, and basically the fight's not over yet, and we're gonna brawl to the end.
You're gonna brawl to the end. All right. Well, thank you so much, Laz. I do appreciate this. I'm gonna open it up for a couple more questions if anybody has any. I'll pick out a couple more and then I'll let you go. Thank you so much for participating and helping to get. Again, this is LAZTEL, Lazarus Telraven. He is a fleet commander for the Imperium. He is also a streamer, if I can get a shout out for LAZTEL. And he has very graciously agreed to do this interview with me today. I'm sorry if I've asked you any stupid questions or anything that has seemed very basic to you. I just trying to get a good perspective. As you know, I'm 2 weeks into the game, so.
Oh, no, it's fine. I think I kind of butchered some of the explanations there, but
you've given me a very clear explanation. If anybody else wants to do an interview, I would love to have an interview from anybody else. I am gonna run and go to the bathroom. Tell Raisin.